everyone. I wish you have a great day. Happy morning here in Rome. Rome is without doubt one of the most beautiful cities in the world. But a trip to this eternal city can be literally confusing. But I'm trying my best to uncover it and make it more practical and exciting trip for you to enjoy and explore this city. So follow me. Let's go! So we start our third day tour by visiting the Vatican. After Colosseum, I can say that Vatican is the next most important place or attraction that you need to visit if you are already in Rome. Best is to book your tickets online for Colosseum and Vatican Museum, because these two places are crowded no matter when you go. And best plan is not to put these two places the same day, as you need more time to explore each of them. Vatican is a city-state surrounded by Rome, and it is the headquarters of Roman Catholic Church. It is also a home to the Pope and a trove of iconic art and architecture. We are now exploring the Vatican museums, and these museums house ancient Roman sculptures such as the famous Lycaon and his sons, as well as Renaissance frescoes in the Raphael Rome, and the Sistine Chapel, which is famous for Michelangelo's ceiling. The Vatican museums are Christian art museums located within the city boundaries of the Vatican City. They display works from the immense collection amassed by popes throughout the centuries, including several of the most renowned Roman sculptures and most important masterpieces of Renaissance art in the world. These museums contain roughly 70,000 works, of which 20,000 are on display, and currently employ 640 people who work in 40 different administrative, scholarly, and restoration departments. These pictures on both sides of the walls are not paintings, but they are handcrafted, made up of stitches of strings. And you know how thick they are? At least 10 centimeters thick. And it took at least 10 years to complete just one piece. Pope Julius II founded the museums in the early 16th century. The Sistine Chapel, with its ceiling decorated by Michelangelo, and the Stanza di Raffaello, decorated by Raphael, are on the visitor road through the Vatican museums. In 2017, they were visited by 6 million people. It makes them the fourth most visited art museum in the world. There are 54 galleries in total, with the Sistine Chapel notably being the very last sala within the museum. The Vatican museums trace their origin to one marble sculpture purchased in the 16th century. Lycaon and his sons was discovered on 14th January 1506 in a vineyard near the Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore in Rome. We can see many sculptures in here, and this sculpture is one of the work from Lucio Fontana, an Italian-Argentina sculptor. He was also a painter and a theorist. According to the history, Pope Julius II sent Giuliano and Michelangelo, who were working at the Vatican, to examine the discovery. On their recommendation, the Pope immediately purchased the sculpture from the vineyard owner. The Pope put the sculpture, which depicts the Trojan priest Lycaon and his two sons being attacked by giant serpents, on public display at the Vatican exactly 1 month after its discovery. The museums celebrated their 500th anniversary in October 2006. by permanently opening the excavations of a Vatican Hill necropolis to the public.
Follow me because hello guys, we have just left the museum in Vatican and now we are visiting St. Peter's Church. This is the greatest Catholic church in the world, so it is also a must-visit attraction.
St. Peter's Basilica is an Italian Renaissance church in Vatican City, the papal enclave within the city of Rome. Designed principally by Donato Bramante, Michelangelo, Carlo Maderno, and Gian Lorenzo Bemini, St. Peter's is the most renowned work of Renaissance architecture and the largest church in the world. While it is neither the mother church of the Catholic Church nor the cathedral of the Diocese of Rome, St. Peter's is regarded as one of the holiest Catholic shrines. St. Peter's is famous as a place of pilgrimage and for its liturgical functions. The Pope presides at a number of liturgies throughout the year, drawing audiences of 15,000 to over 80,000 people, either within the Basilica or the adjoining St. Peter's Square. St. Peter's has many historical associations with the early Christian church, the papacy, the Protestant Reformation, and Catholic Counter-Reformation, and numerous artists, especially Michelangelo. As a work of architecture, it is regarded as the greatest building of its age. St. Peter's is one of the 4 churches in the world that hold the rank of major basilica, all 4 of which are in Rome. And now we are heading to climb up to one of the most beautiful domes in the world. Going up inside St. Peter's Dome is a fantastic, extraordinary experience. You get to see St. Peter's Basilica in a whole new way. And this dome is open daily and year-round. The only challenging thing is to climb the narrow staircase up to the dome, with lack of air ventilation, especially in hot summer like this. To be frank, guys, it is quite challenging for me. As for time of day, the basilica was purposefully made to face east, which means the sun rises in front of it. And I like to climb St. Peter's Dome first thing in the morning, especially in high season, because there is no line and there are no crowds. But that means a washed out photo. So if you want a prettier photo, you will need to visit St. Peter's Dome later in the day. But usually that means more people and longer lines. But don't worry, it's beautiful anytime. I love looking down to St. Peter's Hall from the inner part of St. Peter's Dome. Such a gorgeous church. So climbing the dome takes an additional 1.5 to 2 hours, including the time spending at the top. So guys, I suggest that if you visit the Vatican museums and take the shortcut to St. Peter's Basilica, you should visit the dome right after you exit the Sistine Chapel and right before you enter St. Peter's Basilica. This is in part because the dome closes earlier than the basilica, in part because it's logistically right on the way, and in part because when you come down from the dome, you will be inside the basilica anyway. Then you can take your time enjoying the Basilica itself. But if you do not plan to visit Vatican museums and will only visit St. Peter's Basilica, I suggest that visiting the dome before the Basilica. This is because it's the first thing you come to anyway, and because, as I said, you come into the Basilica when you exit the dome. But this is only a suggestion. We are continuing the climb to the highest part outside the dome. Visits to the Dome of St. Peter's are possible every day from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. during April to September, and from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. during October to March. There are 2 levels to climb. The first part takes you to the interior of the dome, which offers magnificent views of the basilica below, as well as a chance to see the mosaics up close. So visitors can either walk the 231 steps or take the elevator, and this part of the visit also includes a trip out onto the roof behind the statues of Jesus and the apostles. The second part of the visit is optional and is for the slightly more adventurous visitor. It involves climbing a further 320 steps, which become progressively narrower and more winding, ending in a tight corkscrew staircase. And if you suffer from claustrophobia, this is not for you. However, once on top of the cupola, you will have a bird's eye view of Vatican City, as well as a breathtaking panorama of Rome, spread out 136 meters below. The entrance to the dome is at the portico of St. Peter's Basilica, which is open daily from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., April to September, and from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. from October to March. Entry to St. Peter's is free, but the cupola climb costs 8 euro if you take the stairs, or 10 euro if you take the elevator, and payment in cash only. For more details about visiting the sites of Vatican City, I will put the link of Vatican website in my description below. So, from the top of the dome, you will get to see the city from a completely new perspective. So we need a minimum of 5 hours to only visit Vatican Museum, St. Peter's Church, and to climb up St. Peter's Dome. And now we are about to leave Vatican. These are the guards at one of the buildings there. You can also have drinking water too here at Vatican City.
So guys, I'm sharing with you, to bring an umbrella is a must if you come to Rome in summer. It is super hot. It's really hot. We are leaving St. Peter's Square and we are walking towards St. Angelo's Castle. It is about 650 meters. Here we are at St. Angelo's Castle.
The Mausoleum of Hadrian, usually known as Castel Sant'Angelo in Italian, and in English it means that Castle of the Holy Angel, is a towering cylindrical building in Parco Adriano, Rome.
We are going to Gladiator Museum.
Not far from Sant'Angelo Castle, we pass by a beautiful scenery by a river. And there is nice shady pedestrian walk and a stretch of traditional stalls selling souvenirs, old books, etc. And this is the view from the opposite side.
The weather is hot, so we are sit down for a while to rest under the shady trees. Hello, darling.
We are still on the way to our final destination, that is Gladiator Museum, but we will pass by the Museum of Napoleon. So we decide to go into the museum as it is included in our Rome pass that we bought online. Here we are at Napoleon's. But in here, we have to keep our cameras and bags in a provided locker. So no photo taking.
We are now at Piazza Navona Underground. It's a museum. We have paid for it.
The remains of the Stadium of Domitian, UNESCO World Heritage, are located beneath Piazza Navona, about 5 meters below ground. This archaeological area is what remains of the first and only masonry stadium known of in Roman history. The Stadium of Domitian was commissioned by Emperor Titus around 80 AD. It's the same year the Colosseum was completed. Today, this stadium, once home to Roman entertainment, lies underneath a modern city. It is certainly worth a visit to escape the hustle and bustle of the city. The audio guide is included in the ticket.
This is Piazza Navona. Just now we went to the museum in the underground. It's Piazza Navona Underground.
And now we are at Piazza Navona. Piazza Navona is a public space in Rome. It is built on the site of the Stadium of Domitian, built in the 1st century AD, and follows the form of the open space of the stadium. The ancient Romans went there to watch the agones or games, and hence it was known as Circus Agonalis, or competition arena. It is believed that over time the name changed to in Avone to Navone and eventually to Navona. And this is the fountains of the 4 rivers with Egyptian obelisks in the middle of Piazza Navona. It features important sculptural creations. In the center stands the famous Fontana dei Quattro Fiumi, or Fountain of the 4 Rivers, in 1651 by Gian Lorenzo Bernini. Piazza Navona has two other fountains. At the southern end is the Fontana del Moro with a basin and 4 tritons. And Gladiator Museum is actually at the square of Piazza Navona. We are walking down to Gladiator Museum. We have entered the museum with our inclusive Rome pass. You see how thick the clothes? You see how heavy the clothes? I cannot carry it. I don't think so I can carry it. So heavy. It's a metal. See? We are going to the underground again. I cannot imagine how people in the past can wear such heavy metal outfits. This is a giant head protector. I don't know what room is that. I think it's a prison. See? But they can open from here. With this, they can open it. I think it's only a rest. Hey. This is so interesting. What is this? Can open one. So you can explore the Gladiator Museum for free and save €12 if you have Rome City Pass. The exhibition shows over a millennium of history through the most representative Roman army and their enemies. And the opening hours of Gladiator Museum daily 10 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. and the last entrance is at 6 p.m. The ticket includes the entrance fee and multilingual audio guide available in Italian, English, Spanish, French, German, Chinese, and Portuguese. I end my tour here. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy my video. Like my